Kani gadega Batisi TV, bat pidang pet yaki kubor baman kasngi.
Henne kasngi ka arpnyo tere unailur arajar katpra. Kadai kasngi ka bakado jong ka dorbar senrai. Ha ka yeng dorbar thawan jong ni ka jela Meghalaya. Ha ka ba ka jingatai kalalong halor kimat ki balawara nakaliang persya kumjo nakaliang sensar. Haba phai shi kikinta bo jingkali nakaliang UMLA jong ka umrai uba George Bilingdo ulabo jingkali ya ka sarkar. Bakalong na ka jingsisha bakidon bon teli ki kam ki balat hakitnat sarkar ba per jong ka sarkar jela. Ba ladakan ni kadai ka jingsisha katno teli baro ki kam ki balan.
Mr. Speaker, sir, reply to star question 74A. Yes, sir. 74B and C. So information is being collected.
Honorable Speaker, sir. So I find the answers to start questions 74A, B and C, they are contradictory, sir. So how does the government know that there are vacancies when information is still being collected?
There's one question
I wanted to ask.
Yes, sir. Sir, I think all the members in the House, as well as the public in general, will appreciate that we do have a number of departments. And there are a number of ways in which our departments and districts, and therefore, sir, it's not a very small or easy task to collect all the information. And obviously, sir, when I'm standing here and replying to this question, I cannot mislead the House. Therefore, sir, some information has come in and some information is yet to come in. So therefore, sir, we know that vacancies are there because some departments have given us information, but at the same time, a number of them have not given us. So therefore, I know that vacancies are there because some departments have given us, but I cannot give you the total number since all the departments have not submitted the information because this is quite a huge exercise.
Sir, I appreciate the response of the Honorable Chief Minister. Then, sir, it also points out to one fact that when the House is in session, it is expected that the departments should be alert, should be swift in ensuring that these replies are provided and the people know the vacancies that are available across our departments. So please give me a minute to elaborate also on this current situation that we see from these replies that we have received from the government, sir. So the current situation points out to one fact that even though there are vacancies in government departments, there is no system to immediately update the government on such vacancies. So there's a delay. So, sir, there are procedural delays, there are delays in updation, there are delays in seeking approval of filling these vacant posts. So, sir, then it leads to two things. One, there are departments who do not have adequate manpower as they cannot refill the vacant posts due to delays in approval and collating of the data, sir. The second situation is that, sir, due to these procedural delays in filling of our government offices, the educated youth, unemployed, eligible youths may lose an opportunity to get jobs, sir, as they may turn overage by the time that these posts are filled up.
Mr. George,
sir,
please come to question.
So I am coming to the point, sir. So I urge upon the Honorable CM, sir, to kindly streamline the system so that the services of the departments are not affected due to these huge delays in filling up of the posts, and our youth also can get employment opportunities that is rightfully there, sir.
Sir, all the points that have been mentioned by the Honourable Member from Umroi, sir, are very, very valid points. And, sir, we are on force looking into all these aspects. And I must inform the Honourable Member that it is not that everything is just on a standstill. There are a lot of processes going on of recruitment. Different departments through the MPSC or through the Department Selection Committees are conducting a number of interviews. So therefore, the process is on and it is quite a heavy exercise, sir. And therefore, I would like to inform the House and specifically the Honourable Member that we are definitely taking this into consideration, and a lot of exercise is being conducted, and a lot of, in fact, processes on, in fact, for recruitment also.
Sir, Honourable Speaker, sir.
Speaker, sir. No, please. The questioner, please.
Sir, in the start question reply on the 25th of September, which was placed on the table of the House, sir, we've seen a number of posts that were advertised, candidates selected, and candidates who have joined in the police department recently, sir, to the post of several posts under SF10 and ABUB group, sir. Sir, there are still, after the recruitment, there are 207 candidates who did not join under SF10 and 254 candidates under ABUB group, sir, who did not join, sir. So, sir, the government had recently come up with the merit list, and based on the merit list, these posts were filled up. May I know the mind of the Honorable Chief Minister, sir, as to whether these vacant posts that have arisen due to the fact that the candidates have not joined, whether it will pick up the candidates from the merit list that were not able to get the posts earlier, sir?
So this is a very specific question, and there is a special recruitment board in the police. So therefore, I think it would not be appropriate for me to say anything right now, because I do not have the specific information, though I'm aware about the issue. But the exact procedure that is followed by the board, that the police selection board is there, that is something that, sir, I will require information and notice on. But nonetheless, I'll be happy to inform the honorable member once I discuss with the police the recruitment board and know what the guidelines or what the particular the guidelines that were mentioned in the selection process. So once I get those guidelines, I'll be able to say, because if I say something, I might contradict the guidelines, which I have not seen. I have to mention that. It's a very specific question, sir, but I'll be happy to inform the member once I go through those things. Thank you, sir.
So, one last thing, sir. Sir, I will request the Honorable Chief Minister, sir, because the recruitment to these posts was delayed by 2 years, sir, because of the court case that was ongoing. So, sir, in these 2 years, many of these youths may have turned overaged, and they are in the merit list. So, sir, they may not be eligible to again find another job. So, I will request the Honorable Chief Minister to kindly take this matter at the earliest with the recruitment board, so that our youths are not deprived of their rightful employment, sir.
So I've noted the point, sir. Okay.
Honorable Speaker, sir. I am aware of the fact, Mr. Speaker, sir, that almost all the departments have communicated to their administrative department of the vacancies that are available in their offices, be it at the district level or at the subdivisional level or at the block level, sir. Those informations have already been conveyed to the administrative department, and accordingly, such informations have also been conveyed to the district selection committees and to the MPSC. I fail to understand how the Honorable Chief Minister says that it takes a lot of time to collect this information, because informations, whatever available, we are not asking for new ones, whatever available is already available with MPSC or the DSC. So, may I know from the Honorable Chief Minister whether these informations have been obtained or not from the respective authorities of the DSC and the MPSC?
Sir, the honorable member has put in a point, but I think he also will know, because he was in the department and obviously he has worked with the government earlier. So there are different processes that are involved, and therefore, sir, it would be, as I had mentioned in the beginning, incorrect for me to mislead the House by simply taking those numbers and taking it out and just giving it here in the floor of the House. So therefore, my point being that we are collecting all the information, the latest information, because we cannot give something that is back. Suppose tomorrow somebody comes here and shows me a paper saying that, well, we got this information that this is the latest, and it contradicts with the number that I have, then it will be embarrassing for all of us, sir. So therefore, sir, we have gone with exercise. We have asked all the departments to give. A number of them have given the information to us, the latest information, and a lot of them have not given. So therefore, and a few of them, sorry, have not given. So therefore, I have mentioned in my question, that in my reply, that the information is being collected, sir. Sir?
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, sir. Since we are discussing about the recruitment and the appointment through different agencies, I want to know from the Honorable Chief Minister whether all the district selection committee in respective district has been notified or not. Sir, the exact information is not available right now, but I can inform the House that Southwest Khasi Hills is most probably the only one that has not been, but I think, I shouldn't use the word I think also, sir, but I can tell you that majority of them have been already constituted, and I think, not I think, sir, 2-3 maybe of them are still under process. So most of the district selection committees have been already appointed. Sir. One thing I want to bring to notice of the House in the past, this recruitment through the district selection committees, it takes a long time. Sometime after the department intimate to the DSCs, respective DSCs, the recruitment process of conduct written tests and personal interview, it takes so long. So I want to get assurance from the Chief Minister, from the government, that from now on this process should not be too long, so that our unemployed youth will get recruited at earliest, because there are few district selection committee, it takes 2 years to get appointed to all those vacancies. I want to get assurance from the government.
So we'll definitely examine the matter and look into the matter, sir.
Sir, one last okay. Sir, we want to know the mind of the government, whether the appointment of master role of this casual employee in different department, it is still permitted, or there is any circulation from the government that it has been stopped, because there are some departments who are still engaging appointment of master role and casual employee, or is there any circulation that it will be stopped? It should be equal, it should be streamlined in the whole state as a whole.
Sir, for that particular question, I'll require notice.
Sir, it is opening.
Honorable Mr. Speaker, sir, since the information is being collected, can the Honorable Chief Minister allow the department concerned, having many of vacant posts, to allow the head department to appoint them on optional basis or ad hoc basis?
So there is a very specific procedure that is followed, and therefore, sir, it's not as simple as the honourable member has mentioned. So different selection processes and committees are there, as we all are aware. MPSC is there, the district selection committee is there. For the education department, the TET is there for the primary schools and the upper primary schools. For the police, there's a police recruitment board. Even the district, the directorate, the departmental selection committee is there for directorate posts. So, sir, there are different ways in which it is done, depending on the category and depending on the department. So, therefore, it's not as simple as the honourable member has said that we can allow. But definitely, sir, we can examine the matter and we'll see, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir. So may I know from Honorable Chief Minister, after he took over as a Chief Minister of the state, whether from the state you have written any letter to the head department to inform the personal department those who have a vacant post?
Sir, we don't write anything from our side, sir. The departments will write if there are any requirements, And, sir, I can tell you officially also, sir, that there are many, in fact, processes going on. Many district selection committees, sir, as we speak, are conducting a number of examinations and interviews. There are, in fact, a number of them going on in MPSC also, sir, as we speak, sir. So, therefore, the process is on in many departments, and it is a process that is ongoing. District selection also is conducting, as well as MPSC is conducting even now, sir.
So, last question, sir. So, may I request Honorable Chief Minister to speed up this process so that our youth will get employment, because we knew well that many vacant posts is lying vacant in many departments in the state, sir.
Yes, sir. The point is noted, sir.
Thank you.
Nakalyang UMLA jong kamau senram uba HM Sangpliang ulapan jik pencai halor ke jingdan ki Wet Bridge Hagajala Meghalaya. bat karno tuli ki dan bat hakino ki jaka bakini ki jaka thau yi ki trok ket mar labo eki.
Mr. Speaker, sir, reply to question number 75. Question by honorable members by Himalaya Sampling. Answer number A, sir. So the total number of weight bridge and their locations are as follow. Number 1 is Kasihil, 7 numbers. Number 2, Southwest Kasihil, 3 numbers. Number 3, West Kasihil's 11 numbers. Number 4, Ribhoi District, 40 numbers. Number 5, East Chentia Hills, 34 numbers. Number 6, West Chentia Hills, 5 numbers. Number 7, West Karo Hills, 2 numbers. Number 8, North Karo Hills, 1 number. Total number 103 numbers.
D.
Sir, sorry, sir. Answer number B, sir. Sir, does not pertain to local meteorology department.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I fail to understand how the minister in charge, legal metrology, is answering a question that was directed to the transport department, sir. I was expecting a reply from the transport minister, but I'm surprised to see the minister in charge, legal metrology, answering questions on way bridges. So my question is whether the way bridges are being run by the legal metrology or by the transport department.
No, before you reply, if you go through your
Sir,
question. No.
I would like also to highlight in this August House that there is a contradiction, sir, today. If all of you having these questions in front of you could kindly look into the start and the unstart. Sir, similar question has been placed, sir. Let me come to the point, sir. Similar question has been placed on the unstart question. Whereas in the unstart question, the reply has been made by the transport minister. And wherein there's a start question, the direct question, this question has been directed to the legal metrology. Now, sir, I request you to kindly intervene here. Who is the minister to reply to my questions?
No. You see, if you go to the question asked by you, this start question 75. Question is, will the minister in charge legal metrology be pleased to state?
Sorry, sir. If you could kindly look into my principal question, which is submitted to the assembly. I have not mentioned like that, sir. I have mentioned transport. Minister in charge transport, sir.
No, Mr. Speaker.
Like this. We all understand that the way bridges are not within your control. So this question should in fact be directed to the department concerned, maybe transport department or maybe mining and justice department. So I would request from now on, any question which is not within the purview of the department concerned, if by mistake is directed to the department, that department should take up with the relevant department. Okay. So for time being, for today, the minister has replied on a number of way bridges. But when it comes to B, the minister informed that he cannot give this information because transport and mining department are not within his control. So, if possible, since this question has been raised in the start question, let us take that this question as replied in the start question.
Sir, with your permission, sir, may I request you to kindly allow this my supplementary questions to be replied by the Honorable Chief Minister, sir.
Will you be able to intervene?
Sir, I don't. Yes, sir.
You don't have the information.
Absolutely, sir. I don't have the information with me right now.
Then let the Transport Minister reply, sir, since he is already present here.
Sir, I think if the honourable member is interested only in the reply,
If he himself has mentioned that they already answered in the unstart, so then it's already done, sir. So I don't think it's any reason to make an issue.
So I do have quite a number of supplementary questions, so because we need to know certain things relating to the way bridges and the way that it's being functioned. So the unstart question has been raised by Merelbon Same, MLA from Nongpo, and the start is from my end, sir. So I request you to kindly allow at least a minister to answer to few questions that I'm going to raise, sir. The minister in charge of transport, sir.
Mr. Transport, I don't think it's. Are you prepared to? Because the question is not directed to you.
Mr. Speaker, sir, actually I'm not prepared since the address to the Illegal Meteorology Minister, but for the interest of the honourable member, I may make available to him in his office.
Sir, this is a deliberate attempt of the government to dodge this important question, sir. Serious. This matter is very serious, sir. It's a deliberate attempt. Why? Because there has been a lot of questions which need to be answered relating to the shifting of way bridges. These are administrative matters which I guess the Minister of Transport, who has given directions, who has given orders in the file, should be able to answer at least few questions that I'm going to raise, sir. My first question, if you allow, sir, is I want to know what is the reason that led the government to take over 10 way bridges to run by themselves by the department. What is the reason, sir? These are simple questions I'm going to place, sir, not technical ones, sir.
You are you prepared? Do you have the materials with you? You don't. So since the minister is not in a position to reply, I will not allow that question.
So what do we do, sir, then? This question gets slapped, sir?
You should have pointed out in the morning that this question is addressed to
Mr. Speaker, sir, one clarity in this August House.
Yes, tell me.
Now, what is the constitutional provision? The constitutional provision is that the cabinet will be collectively accountable to the House, to the Assembly. So when in this kind of situation, then who replies? The leader of the House will reply. This is the convention and practice as it is in sync with the mandate of the Constitution.
Fact. No, the Chief Minister has replied that
I appreciate the concerns of the.
But you don't have the information.
Sir, exactly, sir. I appreciate the concerns of the Honourable Leader of Opposition, others. But these are technical issues and questions, and it would not be appropriate for me to reply something information which is not available, as I was not aware about this particular question coming to me, sir. So therefore, these details are not available with me right now, sir.
So, Mr. Speaker, sir, then may we take it that the Chief Minister is asking for notice?
Should be like
yes.
You have to ask for notice.
Yeah, that is how it is interpreted.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in fact, I would like just to refer back to the incidences that has taken place all these years. See, the convention is, in fact, once the question is replied by any department, by any minister, so I think let the questioner contain to that and then let him ask question. Because see, the minister, though he reply here that the legal meteorology department does not fall under him, but still supplementary he can reply. I think that is better, sir. I think that is simple thing where maybe the honourable member would like to get more information on this.
Let us follow our convention here. When a minister in charge is not in the position to reply, we always ask the chief minister whether he could reply or not. If the chief justice doesn't have the materials with him, he may ask for notice. That is a practice in the House. Yes.
So we can do that, sir. And as I was saying, sir, this is not a number that is available with me, just like that, sir. This is very highly technical information. So therefore, sir, I will be happy to provide, and I will require notice for this.
Sir, one small clarification, sir. Now, sir, relating to all these actions that the government has taken, they have issued executive orders relating to shifting of way bridges, closing down of way bridges. What information further do they require? They are the ones who pass orders in the file. They should be able to give us some information today. Give us something. We want to know why the government has closed down the weighbridges and taken over by themselves. This is a collective decision taken by the cabinet. So why can't they at least give us some information on this?
Chief Minister.
So number one, I should say that here the question is about total revenue earned by the Transport and Mining Department, sir. And as I said, that information is not available with me right now, and I require notice. And on any particular issue that they are asking right now, sir, if they are happy, I would be more than happy to ask them to come to my office, and I can furnish all the information that they require, sir. But at this point in time, I do not have the required information, and I require notice, sir.
So, sir, I had already given a supplementary question to that. My supplementary question is very simple. I said the government had taken steps to close down all the private weighbridges, and they have taken over 10 weighbridges and run by themselves. What is the reason? Just the reason. Why are you running it by yourself? That is the question.
Sir, transport.
So we require notice for this, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very sad.
See, this matter seems to be a little complicated, and it can embarrass the state as a whole, because Transport Department subjecting the trucks to pass through the weighbridges, it includes all this interstate movement. It cannot be confined to the the grievances related to people affected of our own state alone. So therefore, may I know from the government, who are manning these respective weighbridges? It is the departmental employees authorized by the concerned authorities, or by some private individuals who are operating these weighbridges?
Sir, I think the opposition is just getting into this question when we have specifically said that this was a question that was answered by legal metrology, and therefore going into details of this, we have been very clear that we don't have the particular information that the opposition requires right now. So therefore we require notice in this. I think, sir, there are many more issues that are there ahead. I think we should continue with other questions. We have been very clear that this information is not there with us right now, and these are very specific informations, and we'll be happy to provide, sir, if they, I'll just require notice for that, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, you see why I have put this question is because I have received these inputs. I think you also might have received such inputs, because Meghalaya is a small state. Whatever happens in Nongpo, whatever happens in Dainadupi, I think every MLA, every politician knows it. Yes, so may I therefore get a may we know the categorical stand of the government as to whether the government will verify as to what is happening in all these respective weighbridges?
Yes, sir. We'll verify.
Insufficient on this.
Sir, in reply to start question 75A, sir, we could see that there are 40 weighbridges only in Ribhoi district out of 103, which constitutes about 38% of the total weighbridges in the state, sir. May I know from the Honorable Minister as to why there is a need to have such huge number of weighbridges only in Ribhoi district, sir, when it is a small district in terms of area, in terms of the length of the road also, and sir, burdening the people and also obstructing traffic, sir.
Shri Samdin Malayang, do you have that information with you?
No, sir.
You don't have the information, so you require this.
Sir, I think this is very much pertinent to the start with my, sir, because 40 weighbridges only in Ribhoi district, sir. And so comparatively, if you look at West Garo Hills and West Khasi Hills, which are two biggest districts in our state, sir, they have only 11 and 2, sir. And Ribhoi, being small, you're getting 40, sir. I don't know what is so lucrative in Ribhoi district, sir, that we have about 40 weighbridges. So,
sir, I'd like to just add to that, so the Ribhoi, if you look at the Ribhoi weighbridges, sir, yes, there are 40 of them, sir, and it'll be too long for me to read out all of them. But so a number of them are internal weighbridges. A number of them are private weighbridges, sir. So therefore, since the number was asked, everything was given, sir. But specifically, there are only, out of the 40, there are only 2, sir, that are officially given by the government and the department, sir. But others are all private numbers, sir. And most of them are internal, sir.
Speaker, sir. I'd like to know from the Honourable Minister, Legal Metrology, whether these weighbridges that has been indicated in the reply are all licensed weighbridges or not? And if so, how many of them are licensed, how many are not?
Chief Samlin.
Mr. Speaker, sir, all the weighbridges that from the legal metrology that we have issued to verify that the weighbridge, then after that we have to issue the verification fees that we have licensed.
Sir, my question is very simple and clear. Whether legal metrology is the appropriate authority to issue weighbridge licenses. I can tell you, sir, under the Motor Vehicle Act 1988, only the Transport Department is authorized to issue weighbridges license. So how can legal metrology issue licenses, sir?
Any comment on that?
So basically, if I could just supplement, sir. So there are different departments and agencies that have to give permission for a particular weighbridge to be opened. Yeah, absolutely. You have to give NOC from National Highway. I think honourable member should know that we have to get an NOC. We have to get NOC from National Highway. The right of way has to be taken from National Highway. So therefore, there are different agencies, and one of the agencies that has to be giving this is legal metrology, sir, and that is what the honourable member has mentioned. Honourable minister has mentioned.
So that means it's contradicting again with the unstart question, the unstart reply given by the Minister of Transport. Now, as per the statement given by the Minister of Transport in the unstart question, these are the licensed weighbridges that is functioning in the state. Whereas in the start reply, there are 103 weighbridges, meaning all these are unlicensed. So what is the government trying to do? How can the government give a reply and register the weighbridges that are unlicensed in our reply today, sir? Are they acknowledging, sir, that these unlicensed weighbridges are also to be accounted for? No, sir, there's no private, there's no nothing, sir. All weighbridges have to come under the purview of the MB Act. Very clear.
No, let the ship let the ship.
So I had mentioned here, so as I said, that legal metrology is one of the departments that gives the verification. And as per the reply out here, sir, it's mentioned that there are 103, sir. So I think we stick with this reply, sir.
Sir, only one clarification. This is just I want to get a clarification because in the unstart question I asked, so I have to know, I have to get the fact right. In the unstart question, there are 103 weight bridge. In the start question, there are 16 weight bridge. Which is the correct one? I need to get it.
So that is what we are saying, sir. So as I said, this is under Transport Department. That is there. Yes, and these are all. So the question in the unstart is under the Transport Department. So these are under them, sir, directly. Which I said, sir, if they still want clarification, that even in, say, Sir Riboy, as I mentioned, under the department there is only one. But two, sir. No, under the department one, government general one more. So like that, sir, the ones that are under the Department of Transport, the way bridges, those are 16. But the total number of way bridges that are there are 103, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm totally confused also. And then confusion has made me curiosity to bring out the question. Now, I wanted to know this 40, 30, and then 140 bridges, 103 bridges, when these bridges was allowed to, build the way bridges? When? I want to know when. Whether this way, 40 way bridges was allowed to build this year or from the last year or maybe from the previous years. I'm quite confused now.
Sir, I think I don't have the exact date of when these 103 way bridges were permitted. But sir, I don't think in the last 6 months we could have given that many, sir. So, but I don't have the exact information on which dates each one were given, sir.
One more, sir. If the way bridges are not legal, I think they should be absolutely closed down. Can I get the assurance from the government?
Sir, I think the honourable member is absolutely right. Any bridge that is not legal, sir, that will not be allowed. And in fact, the department and the government in general is very strict about it, sir. And just to clarify, I think honourable members had raised about this issue about the star and the unstar. And I think, sir, it's very clear that the unstar, the question was regarding the transport, way bridges under transport, which the answer is correct, is 16. But the total number of way bridges throughout the state are 103, which are not under the transport department, sir.
Nakaliang wamale ke Mauplang constituency ubak Santar Kelas Sun ulakali banadu menolas dang ya ke Emergency Management and Research Institute hakane ke jela.
Honorable Speaker, sir, the replies to start question number 77. A. Sir, the government in partnership with the GVK EMRI, the implementing agency, launched the Pan-State Emergency Response Service, ERS, dial 108 on 2nd February 2009. Sir, these services offered are emergency care services and to render quality pre-hospital care and transport of the patients to the appropriate healthcare facility. In 2009, the fleet size was 15 ambulances, which was under PPP mode. The services was initially introduced in 2 districts, East Kasils and West Kasils district, and over the course of 2009, the services were extended to all the 7 districts of the state. At present, they are affected for 48 ambulances in the entire state, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, may I know from the Honourable Minister whether it is a fact that the 108 ambulance service, which is meant to cater to primary emergency, that is from home or sites to the hospitals, are also catering to referral cases in the absence of 102 ambulance service?
Yes, sir. In absence of the 102, we have to cater the referral services also, sir.
Sir, in Assam, in addition to 108 service, there is 102 ambulance service and another service called Drop Back Mother and Child Care Ambulance Service. May I know from the Honourable Minister, is there any proposal to introduce 102 ambulance service and Drop Back Mother and Child Care Ambulance Service in the state?
Sir, the proposal is there, sir. They had sent it in. Yes, sir, the proposal is there, sir.
Is there any assurance how soon this proposal will materialize, sir?
We examined the proposal, already sent also to the Government of India for the sanction, sir.
One last question, sir. May I know from the Honourable Minister, is there any proposal to expand the fleet size of the existing 108 ambulance service? If so, what will be the fleet size or number of ambulances?
Sir, at present we have 48 fleet size of the ambulances at 43 locations and 5 we have the backup ambulances, sir.
No, my question, sir, is there any proposal to expand the fleet size of the existing 108 ambulances?
Yes, sir. This is the proposals are there, sir.
So what will be the flip side, sir? Sir, what will be the flip side, the proposal?
Yeah, please.
So the proposed locations, we have the existing location also. Can I read out, sir, for the...
No, how many only?
How many, sir?
So many.
Just the number.
$42, sir. The proposed
42 more.
Via feet 42 more, sir.
Additional. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hagani kesmi ka bakado jong ka darbar senrai na kalyang sensar kalawara ru yigi katto kan ditli ki bel banyatai bat banyo ru yakajing menjer na kayeng darbar thawan.
Sri Judge Bilingdo MLA to call the attention of the Minister in charge mining geology under Rule 54 sub Rule 1, the rules of procedure and conduct of business to news item published in the Shillong Times dated 10 September 2018 under the caption Illegal Limestone Mining in West Giant Hills. Sri Judge Bilingdo MLA, please.
Honorable Speaker, sir, at the outset I would like to thank you for admitting this call attention motion on the news item Illegal Limestone Mining in West Giant Hills, appearing in the Shillong Times, local Delhi, on September 10, 2018, sir. So the news item refers to illegal mining of limestone in Nong Talang area, West Giant Hills. As per the news item, it is reported that the government has cleared a few mining plans for limestone extraction under minor mineral rules. It is also reported that there are others who carry out illegal mining in the state without obtaining a mining license. So it is also reported in the news item that escalator machines have been brought to Nong Talang area to carry out illegal mining activity. So it is also reported that there is a long queue of trucks on the NH40E road from Joai, Amlarem, Dauki road transporting the limestone. These are the features of the news item, sir. And so the news item was therefore brought to light a new organized effort in our state with an objective to illegally plunder limestone and severely damage our environment. So as per the information, there are few miners who have obtained minor mineral licenses by defining the end use of limestone as per the minor mineral rules. There are also miners who have obtained major mineral licenses for limestone mining with statutory provisions to export limestone as per the MMDR Act. So the news item therefore refers to that there are illegal miners operating even to the extent of using heavy machinery to illegally extract limestone. So this is a fraudulent practice, as the miners have carried out their activities without preparation of a mining plan and obtaining a mining license. So the illegal transportation of limestone is also more startling to see, sir. How did these illegal miners get challans to transport this illegally mined limestone? It appears that such challans may have been provided by the ones who are having valid mining license, or there are fake challans that are in circulation. So as reported in the news item, there's a long line of trucks carrying limestone along Joai, Amlarem, Dauki road. So where is this limestone being transported? So this road leads to only one destination, sir. That is Bangladesh. So it can be seen, sir, that limestone may be illegally exported also. Therefore, sir, we have a scenario where there is illegal mining, illegal transportation, and also illegal exports, which is leading to a huge loss of revenue, sir, and indicates corruption at various levels. So these activities could have been detected by various agencies, or departments. So we have the Mineral Resources Department, we have the Forest and Environment, we have the Police Department, we have the Transport Department, we have BSF, we have Customs. However, sir, it can be inferred from the news item that illegal mining has been allowed, illegal transportation has been allowed, illegal exchange of challans is happening, and illegal export is also allowed. So, sir, how can such numerous illegal practices that involve scrutiny by various agencies escape the eye of our vigilant authorities, sir? So, sir, law-abiding families who have invested their savings or even taken loans to invest in the preparation of mining plans and obtain legal mining licenses have seemingly been betrayed, sir. Several such law-abiding families have seen their entire assets washed away overnight, sir, when the NGT bans came on coal, limestone, sand, boulders. So, sir, till now they live the hope that the government will pave way for legal mining of coal, strong enforcement of the Minor Mineral Rules and the MMDR Act. That will be a way to safeguard livelihoods as well as ensure environmental protection, sir. So, however, we are seeing a handful of illegal miners joyfully carrying out their mining activities, sir, without caring for the law of the environment, sir, at the cost of several law-abiding citizens. So several individuals have also aired their complaints regarding these problems, sir, in the local media. One group, sir, Wildlife and Environment Protection Group from West Antilles, has also taken strong steps to highlight this issue. One youth group, Achik Youth Council, has also reported in the local media that there is a rampant extraction of stones in Garo Hills through illegal mining and illegal transportation of the same to Assam, sir. Sir, I'd like to also bring to the notice of the government that one road in Riboisa, passing from Ladum Sao to Maulundep up to Soyong, has been completely destroyed due to the plying of trucks illegally transporting various minerals from West Khasi Hills towards Assam. Sir, on one hand, we are witnessing huge activity through illegal mining, maybe limestone, coal, boulders, etc. Whereas on the other hand, sir, we suddenly see, sir, that in the past few months there is no reported seizure of trucks. There is no capture of seizure of fake challans also, sir. Does this suggest that fake challans do not exist? Does this suggest that illegal transportation is not happening? So, therefore, sir, it is with great concern that I have brought this call attention motion for the benefit of this august house and for the benefit of our concerned and law-abiding citizens, sir. Sir, our environment is being plundered. Concerned citizens, youth groups, environmental protection groups are calling for action from the government. Our citizens are asking, will the government nab the illegal miners? Will the escalators be confiscated? Will the exchange of challans through illegal means go unchecked? Will the departments like forests, police, transport, mining do anything, sir, to stop this loot? Will trucks be allowed to continuously export limestone illegally, sir? So these are questions and concerns of our citizens. So our Honorable Chief Minister has rightfully also appealed to our young students, youths and responsible citizens to be aware on climate change adaptation and mitigation, sir. Will his appeal, sir, go unheard and disrespected by our government departments? Will one see some concrete evidence of illegal miners being brought to book, sir? So illegal mining has to stop. If it has to be done, it has to be done legally so that it ensures a planned approach with strong environmental safeguards, sir. We need to ensure that our law-abiding citizens also, sir, do not lose faith on our democratic systems. So with these few submissions, I strongly urge the government to kindly respond with a very strong commitment on redressing these illegal practices. So thank you, sir, for this opportunity. I resume my seat, sir.
Minister in charge to reply, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, at the very outset, I would like to thank our Honorable MLA from Umroi constituency, Sri George Lindo, for bringing this very important call attention motion regarding the news item captioned Illegal Limestone Mining in West Jayanthe Hills. So on the news item published in the Shillong Times dated 10th of September 2018 under the caption Illegal Limestone Mining in West Jayanthe Hills. It is submitted that the office of the DFO of Jayanthe Hills Territorial Division Juwai had issued 11 mining leases for extraction of limestone in West Jayanthe Hills district under provisions of the Meghalaya Minor Minerals Concession Rules 2016. The list of legal mining leaseholders in West Jayanthe Hills is enclosed. The extracted minor mineral from the approved mining leases is allowed to be transported under Rule 26 of the MMMCR 2016 through Form H, being issued by the Office of the Divisional Forest Officer, Jayanthe Hills Territorial Division, Juwai, only after ensuring the necessary payment of royalty, MMMRF, which is the Meghalaya Minor Minerals Reclamation Fund, District Mineral Fund and Environmental Cess, GST, etc. So in compliance to a letter wide number MFG 83/10 illegalities/PTI/8531, which was received from the Principal Chief Conservator of Forest, Territorial Meghalaya, Shillong. So the Divisional Forest Officer, Jayanthe Hills Territorial Division, Juwai, has directed, or had directed in fact, the Range Office Forest Officer in charge to cause an inspection of illegal mining activities reported and to submit report along with GPS coordinates of the alleged mining activity sites accordingly. The date for closure of operation of these illegal mines was scheduled for 25th of September 2018, and jointly along with the district administration with intimation to the district police requesting them to extend the necessary cooperation to avoid anticipated law and order situation. Further, all concerned departments including State Pollution Board, District Environment Impact Assessment Authority, Land Revenue, Divisional Mining Officers, GHDC, all have been invited to be part of this operation since all play a role respectively in issuing of various clearance appended with field monitoring, particularly if there is any violation of terms and conditions as referred in such clearances. Sir, all the different points that were raised by the Honourable Member, sir, are of really great concern to all of us. And so there are multiple aspects to it, because apart from the fact, which is the most important thing, that the environment is being affected, which is something that all of us are concerned and must be concerned about, there is also the aspect of great loss of revenue for the state at the same time. And so this is a big challenge that the past governments have also faced, and this government also is facing. And at this point, sir, I would like to mention that I have held a number of review meetings in order to streamline the system and to ensure that these kind of problems can be minimized. It is sometimes not possible for us to really look at all areas, and in this, I think the inputs and information that come from local MLAs and local stakeholders and other civil society will also play a very important role. But sir, in the review that we had, we have looked at this issue of the fake challans that were mentioned. And so government, in fact, is already looking at different technologies that could be adopted in order to ensure that we could tighten up the system. Sir, I must say that if you look at the old challans, I don't know, you could just get it out of the internet also actually. It is quite sad the way the challans were made, sir, and they are quite, I think, old and very easy to print, I should say, and it's a matter of concern for all of us. Having said that, I'm not trying to blame anybody, neither the department nor the people who printed it, but I think it is time that we upgrade. And I think the use of technology is something that can really help us to really look into this aspect and control, I should say, in a very strong manner, control the illegal mining taking place, as well as ensure that the revenue that is collected by the state also goes up, and ensure that our environment is protected. Sir, I would be very happy also to meet the honorable members so that we can discuss this more in detail about all these different issues that are being raised. But I can assure you, sir, that this is a very, very, very important issue to us. As I said, it has to do not only with the environment, but a lot to do with the revenue collection for the state. And at this point, the state government, like always, sir, we have financial challenges. And I think if proper technology and proper administration and all stakeholders would work together, I'm sure that we'll be able to reduce to a large extent the kind of illegal activities that are going on. And as I had mentioned, the honorable member was concerned whether the government has taken any action or not. As I said, there are about almost 11 such illegal quarries that are there, which the department has identified along with GPS coordinates, and action has been taken, sir, in this regard, and the government will continue to take action against all different kind of illegal activities that are going on in the state, sir. So with these few words, sir, I resume my seat.
Only two concerns, sir. I thank the Honorable Chief Minister for the reply, sir. So, based on the reply, sir, I have two inferences. Sir, it seems that the departments have taken some steps to find out who the illegal miners are, and about 11 unauthorized quarries seems to have been detected. So my question is whether there are any stringent laws to book these offenders, whether they will be publicized as to who these people are. And number two, sir, I had spoken about exports. The Honorable Chief Minister had restricted his reply to the transportation, which was challans. So I had also mentioned about exports. So we have very stringent checks at the border, sir, and BSF and customs are there. But then, sir, it seems that these two agencies have not been brought on board regarding illegal exports. And the long queue of trucks, as reported in the news items, sir, is indicating that using MCR challans, these trucks cannot export limestone. They have to define their end use, which is only local, sir, and that also for lime kilns. And as per our report, sir, it seems that most of the lime kilns in the state are non-functional. So where is this limestone going, sir? So these are very serious concerns, and I would urge the Honorable Chief Minister to bring on board and give an assurance that he will bring on board the BSF and customs to ensure that the exports are checked and only legal export is allowed.
So definitely we'll look into this matter, sir.
Kawai ni kimat ke balawara dakal yang sencar ke bolong ro kamat ke bakham kongsan hakani kesni kadai halor ke jingdawa jong ke khasi author society rengkat ke jingkasan ki pajba ban yo no ke jing itro ya ka kten khasi dak ke baperong ya ka hak kernet bapra jong ke riti sencar kari India halor ke ni ke resolution balawara dak sarkar ke yeng darbar kalayo ya ke jing menjer ke berhenti kata bandawa na ke sarkar preng ban perong no ya ka kten khasi bat ke kten achiku ne ke kten garo haka kernet ke bapra jong ke riti sencar kari namar kumba kalong menta kat kum ke jingkhen ke balawara da ke sarkar haka ni kesngi kalong baki bakren ni ke kten khasi kiladan palat khatlai lakngon bat ki bakren ya ki kentien jong ke jai penriu garopan kiladan palat khandai lakngon.
So we take up item number 35. Shri Konarke Sama, Chief Minister. in charge political to lay the government resolution on inclusion of the Khasi and Garo languages in the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India. Chief Minister, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the government resolution on inclusion of the Khasi and Garo languages in the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India.
We go to the next item. Item number 36. Sri Conrad K. Sama, Chief Minister, in charge political to beg leave to move the government resolution on inclusion of Khasi and Garo languages in the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India. Chief Minister, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg leave to move the government resolution on inclusion of the Khasi and Garo languages in the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India.
Do you want to initiate any discussion on this?
So I think this is briefly, sir, I would just like to say that this is, of course, a very important resolution, and I think every single citizen of our state has been really wanting this particular resolution to go through, and more importantly, the languages of Khasi and Garo language to be included in the 8th schedule. And so this demand has been a long pending demand, sir. I would not want to go into the details of all the aspects of different organizations and different bodies, different civil society, all have really played a very critical role in us reaching to this level today. I even recall just about a month back, the honorable member from Nongstoin, Shri Macmillan, had in fact mentioned about a government resolution to be taken up in a program that he was attending in Nehu. And I think he mentioned that the government should come out with a resolution. And accordingly, sir, there were many other members in the House who have also expressed their opinion about this particular issue. And I think from the government side also, sir, almost all the MLAs, not only from the ruling but also from the opposition, I think nobody will have any opposition. There is no opposition to this, sir. The whole House is united in this particular issue. So therefore, sir, I think it's a very historic moment. And I think, I'm sure that everybody will unanimously support this resolution. And therefore, sir, I think without any further delay, I would urge that we should take this, adopt this resolution at the earliest, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Honourable Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to say only a few words regarding with this historic decision taken by the Honourable President Chief Minister, Mr. Conrad K. Sangma, also the second leader, President T. Teng Song, along with the Council of Ministers and also the members who supported the Meghalaya Democratic Alliance. Sir, I don't have much regarding with this, but I would like to say that I'm very much thankful to the government because they have bring out this important resolution. This is the demand of the day. The whole of our people are waiting for these days. I'm sure that people of the Khasi Outer Society are very much happy, and also that even the members of Ashik Literature Society are very much happy. Whole of people of the state is very much happy. But sir, there's one word by saying that that in Khasi we call. But I wanted to mention also in Garo, sir, that kata kusik tanggode jat an shiba tangla. If there is a mistake, let the friends from the Garos will mention regarding this. But sir, regarding with this matter, we are very much happy that we can pass. We support all of us, all 60 were supported. We understand that this matter will not end only in our state. Depend much with the pursuit and the seriousness of the Chief Minister, along with the Deputy Chief Minister, because these matters we have to send to the Home Ministry. We have from time to time, they have to meet, they have to lobby, they have to put pressure and request to them, if possible, at the earliest, let Khasi and Garos be one of recognized language in each schedule of the Constitution of India. That's what we want, sir. And I'm sure I'm looking forward. This matter will not only here, sir, in the four wall of our assembly, many important in Delhi, if need be. At the time they may say that let me go together, all 60, we will push this matter so that whatever the case may be, we will make sure that during the 5 years of our term, Khasi and Garo should be included in the schedule of the constitution year. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Speaker, sir, a few words, sir.
Yes.
So while thanking the Honorable Chief Minister and his government and the cabinet on this noble gesture of immediately coming to the call of the need for the recognition of the two major languages of the state, the Khasi and the Garo, sir. I would also like to thank the Khasi Authors Society. I'd like also to thank the Achik Literature Society for their endeavor, for their continuous pursuit and their long-standing demand that they have been pursuing. Ultimately, sir, it has culminated on this historic day that the government of the day, under the leadership of Mr. Conrad Sangma and his team, and also from the opposition, all members, we would like to thank and join hands to support this resolution today, sir. And like my colleague has mentioned, we will go all out, all the way to New Delhi, if required, to voice our demand for recognition of a language. So on that note, sir, I would, it is really a joyous moment for all of us, and thanking the government and also the people of the state at large for coming in numbers to put forth this important demand for the welfare and the benefit of the future of the state and the future of the youths of our state. Thank you, sir.
Sir, I also thank the government of the day for having brought this resolution, the historical resolution for which the people of the state have been waiting for so long. The love of the language by the Khasi-speaking community and the Garo-speaking community have been dated back to 1960, when they resisted the enforcement of Assamese by the government of Assam, undivided Assam, to use Assamese as an official language. That has paved the way for the movement of the state. But, sir, I would request the government of the day, before referring this resolution to the government of India and the Home Ministry, I would request the government to take into both the Khasi Author Society, because in this booklet which they have given to all the people who attended the rally on the last few days in Malki and Nongtamai, they have mentioned everything about the criteria for which the Ministry of Home Affairs has sought from the government of the day. I would also request the government of the day to take the Achik Author Society into board before they send their resolution to the government of India, so that we won't have any contradictory when it reaches the government of India. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Aswan.
Sir,
You want to write?
Sir, I would just like to say, and just add the last comments here, that not only is this historic in terms of the fact that we are all here to give importance to this particular resolution, but I think on a very light note also, and a happy note also, sir, after these last 4-5 days of a lot of disagreements and a lot of debate, which is healthy, sir, for the state. And I think opposition has brought out many valid points, and I must really appreciate all the different homework they have done and all the work they have done. But it's quite a wonderful feeling to see that after all the discussions we had, differences, and all the debates we had, here we are finally together and saying yes on this very important issue. So I think it's really a wonderful way to really end this particular session today, and in fact this particular autumn session, when we are all agreeing on this particular point, sir. So I just wanted to make that particular point.
Thank you. So now we can proceed ahead. We go to next item, item number 37. Sri Conrad Kesama Shipnan Charge Political to beg leave to move the government resolution on inclusion of Khasi and Garo languages in the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India be approved. Approval now.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to move that the government resolution on inclusion of the Khasi and Garo languages in the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India be approved.
Motion moved. I will now put the question to the House. The question is that the government resolution be approved. Those who are for the resolution say aye. Aye. Those who are against say no. The ayes have it, ayes have it. The government resolution is carried, and this House approves the government resolution on inclusion of Khasi and Garo languages in the 8th schedule of the Constitution of India.